Today we're going to talk about Substack. My primary audience here is thought leaders, career influencers, but I think this is still very relevant for beauty and fashion influencers. So if you're interested in making a Substack, stick around. I will tell you the pros and the cons. Before we even get started, Substack is a fairly new social media network that is based on long form writing. So you write articles, and through these articles, you build a newsletter. It gives you emails for people who subscribe to you, whether they subscribe through your channel directly or through the app, because it also is a bit of a social network where it'll drive people to you. And when you write an article, it gets pushed to people's inboxes directly and they have access through the app. So it's probably the only social media network today that gives you email addresses. So let me tell you a bit about myself now. I am Layla, I'm a founder. I have a social media presence of probably 300,000 or so people now, and Substack is my most important. At the end of the day, I teach what I learn. So let me tell you a bit about myself. I'm Layla. I co-founded a tech company. We've raised $72 million. We work in distribution and logistics. We help people deliver things. And the funny thing about starting a company straight out of grad school is that on day one of starting the company, I was not only part of the 50% of women in the entry-level workforce, but I was also part of the 7% of minority women in the C-suite in the United States. So I've always been driven by sharing what I learned because there truly is an issue when it comes to access of knowledge. There were as many business bestsellers by a man named John in 2020 as all women combined. So I'm really passionate about sharing what I learn online. And ultimately, I want to continue to distribute knowledge. I want to write books. I want to give a lot of knowledge away for free. And that's what I've been doing alongside my day-to-day startup. So about a year and a half ago, I met with a book agent. It was just a casual chat. And I was talking to her and I said, hey, listen, I'm interested in writing books. If I were to come to you in a year, 3 years, 5 years, and tell you, hey, I want to write a book. I want a Big Four publisher and I want an advance as a debut author. What would you recommend? And she said, in this day and age, publishing houses want you to own your own distribution, right? So they want to know that you have a large email list. Social media doesn't cut it, but at 25,000 emails, things start to get interesting. At 50,000 and 100,000, you're certainly a slam dunk. At that point, I had like maybe 700 emails collected, and I'd been collecting them through Substack. I wasn't really consistent about it. As soon as she told me that, I was like, game on, challenge, let's go. And I started writing on my Substack every single week. I will tell you, it was a slow progression. But the cool thing is, not only was I able to finesse my writing and see what people were interested in, but Substack was pushing me people from within the app. And after writing consistently for, I think, a year and a half, honestly, Substack started to really push people to my profile as an author within the app. Now, something you should know about Substack is you can have a free publication or a paid publication. I've always chosen to go free because my goal for Substack is lead magnets. I want to generate as many leads as possible. So to recap, I create a lot of content, but I know I want to write books. A publisher told me in order to do that, I need to have email addresses. So I started a Substack, and I started in the first year with 700 or 800 emails. After that, I started writing extremely consistently every single week. I wouldn't miss a week, and my Substack grew. And the cool thing was I was able to also critique myself. One of the best prompts I use until this day on Claude is I take my draft and put it in there and say, tell me 10 reasons I don't write like a New York Times bestseller. So there are ways to ultimately critique myself. A year and a half into writing consistently, I now have 27,000 subscribers. And the reason Substack is advantageous is 99% of those subscribers came from within the app. I actually just found out it came from the onboarding. So when people are being onboarded, Substack makes recommendations, and they've been recommending my publication to people, which is really cool. I would make the argument that to sell anything, you need email addresses. And that's the cool thing about Substack is if you're not really ready to start a business, you want to write, you want to start a business, it's a good way to start collecting emails and getting people obsessed with the way that you think and really building a following based off of the way that you think. Instagram and TikTok are interesting in different ways, right? Those are visual tools. You don't get people's email addresses, and they're really rented land. I mean, if TikTok gets pulled, I have 160,000 less followers that I will never have access to again, unless they're on my Substack. Poof, they're gone. They belong to TikTok. Same with Instagram. I have, 84,000 or so followers there. I don't really have access to any of them. And on a good day, let's say 3% of my following actually sees my content. My email list has had open rates of up to 60%. So email will always be the stronger way to ultimately get attention and sell. So let's talk about selling for a second. If you want to build a business, Substack is a great lead generation tool, especially if you're in thought leadership, but it is not a sales tool. So I actually use Substack and Flowdesk. Substack is where I do lead generation. I send out my newsletter. Flowdesk for my digital courses where I promote them and I'm able to create sequences and understand who drop products and so on and so forth. And so this is important because within Substack, you can only sell their product. Their product is you can turn on the paid option for your articles, turn on the paid option for access to other things that you create within their platform for your audience. And with an audience like mine at 27,000, I've compared a lot of numbers. The average numbers I see is $50,000 to $60,000 a year through Substack alone. So it's not negligible. I mean, I honestly think it's comparable to YouTube. It's kind of like YouTube for nerds, in my opinion. People who really like long form now have this opportunity to really monetize. The reason I personally haven't turned paid on is because my only goal right now is growth. I want as many emails as possible. I don't want to stop anybody from wanting to get knowledge from me, and I want to build as many loyal fans as possible, so that when time comes for me to approach a big four publisher, it's clear that I will be a phenomenal pick, even though, like I said, there were as many business bestsellers by men named John as all women combined. So the data is working against me. Side note, I really believe that you can get power in one of two ways. You either ride somebody's coattails to the top, nepotism, or you're so good you cannot be ignored. If you're a woman, if you're a minority, it is always path two. It is always path two. So my goal is to be able to say, look, I have this huge readership, I have this huge following, and not only that, like I've practiced writing, right? My writing has gotten better week over week. Go read my Substacks from a year and a half ago. They kind of low-key suck. And that will make me a really clear choice. So the pros of Substack are setup is really easy. You can get a publication together pretty quickly. It could be free or paid. The cons are it's a slow burn. A minority of Americans read on a regular basis, and this social network is based on reading. People have to read to be on Substack, and people have to read your work to want to read your work again and again and again and subscribe to you. So it's a slow burn. That said, the audience is probably more aligned with the way that you think. So as soon as you are willing to sell a product or offer a consulting service, that audience is super vetted. They are qualified leads. So my Substack genre has become growth, embarrassment, how to deal with it, emotional regulation. But really, I've seen so many different genres. I've seen really great publications on beauty. I've seen really great publications on fashion. I've seen publications on nature. There's one publication, which is a paid one actually, where it's a workout instructor who sends one workout every single morning, and you can do video or you can do written form. So you can easily create videos and send videos out for whatever is the craft that you're teaching. And also you can host your podcast on Substack. So I think if you're in the thought leadership space, if you want to write books, if you want to be known for the way that you think, if you ultimately want to sell digital products, then you have to be thinking about Substack. I should note that Substack takes some percentage of whatever you close. And if the person subscribes through their phone, then Apple also takes a percentage of what you earn. So who should start a Substack? People who are creative, people who want to build a community around the way that they think, people who want to ultimately build a business either now or in the future and want to collect email addresses, and people who think they can consistently write about something to an audience week after week. Again, this could be zines, it could be articles, but ultimately want to really refine their point of view and their perspective in order to build a following. As I end this, I should probably note that I just spoke to another lady in the literary world a week ago, and I was telling her about my plans to write a book, and she said, you need a YouTube. So here I am, starting from scratch. I told you how, funny enough, when I'd started my Substack, I had like 600 subscribers when I'd spoken to that literary agent, and now the exact same place with my YouTube. So I hope you do subscribe. I hope you do follow along. What you can expect is more content on how to be a thought leader, content creator, but also how to manage cringe and embarrassment at work and general growth perspectives. So thank you for watching, and leave some comments about the setup. I mean, it's pretty late here, so I just turned lights on because there's no way I can create a YouTube channel if I have to record during the day. I have 3 kids, I have a full-time job. The quick TikToks are fine because I can just record them in 30 seconds, but this is like a 10-minute video. There's no way I could do this during the day. So let me know what you think about the setup and if it is engaging and if the ambiance works. Thank you. I really do hope you subscribe. My name is Layla.